Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Volume 1.
Great.
When we have got to decide which way to turn, which way to learn.
So we're missing Josh Nelson at the CD release party, and we have the great Gary Fukushima tonight filling in for Josh. Also on this record, 2 jazz vocalists, Paul Jost and Mon David, who is my dear friend here in Los Angeles. Dan Davilla came up with the title, and I loved it. Yeah, Social Anthems, perfect. So this project was interesting because it definitely had a progression, its own road, so to speak. Before college and during college, that was when the music was really happening. High school, for me, involved Kent State as well, right? So that was the period of time, and it was very passionate. We were all very passionate. It was the love generation. So now it's the same thing happening, right? Although we're more aware of things because of the internet.
Right.
But still, I feel a very palatable desire to help heal the world.
Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another.
I would like to present Josh Nelson, my friend and the pianist on this project and one of the arrangers on this project.
I was born in the late 70s, so I did hear some of these songs, but getting the opportunity to breathe some new life into them with you through the vision of the rest of the band and Anthony Wilson, Dan Davilla, and his vision for it, it was really refreshing. It was a special time as I look back through films or stories about those 60s and 70s, and there was so much great art created in so many different genres of music. And I'm totally interested in continuing to tell the story, how that genre or how that time period can relate to the present.
Anthony Wilson not only is a magnificent guitar player, but he arranged half of the project.
It was a beautiful experience. It was actually quite democratic process, and we just found a beautiful space to be in with the music. I love doing it. And the social fabric. There's so much going on, and these kind of songs are very, very, very timely.
Karma doesn't just apply to individuals, it applies to governments and lands and everybody. I think artists' responsibilities lie in reflecting what's going on in the world, being truthful, and handing it to people.
Who really cares? Who's willing to try?
I had a lot of experience under my belt with all 3 of those talented gentlemen. Lorca Hart is somebody on drums that I started playing with when I started playing jazz.
Oh,
We've
really?
known each other for 20 years, and he was a very important part of my musical beginnings.
Yeah, it was total adventure. Right when we got there, it kind of just opened up and went different places and journey through those 2 days of recording. Really special.
Edwin Livingston as well, also with Lorca's trio, and I knew his aesthetic, and he could do anything on the bass, so it was just fun to write lines for him that we could double and stuff like that.
With the 2 different arrangers, it was cool having their own perspectives over these pieces. History has repeated itself because humans are involved.
Yeah.
Humans can be very predictable and very short-sighted and narrow-minded at times. So I think it's a good wake-up call, like a good inspiration.
And then Anthony Wilson, I mean, what can you say? I was a fan before I started playing with him, and I'm even more of a fan now, and we have at least 15 or 20 years of playing experience together, and it doesn't really matter the genre, the tune, he will find a way to make it musical.
I was so surprised by so many things. It hit me on an emotional level. You really did that beautifully throughout.
And so it was easy and natural, and that's a testament to yourself and Dan trusting the ensemble to help create the sound you were looking for. Anthony, Lorca, and Edwin are just great musicians, so they're going to make it sound natural and effortless.
Oh, stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, oh, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
I want to thank everybody involved. Dan Davilla for supporting me always, and Eric Astor, the studio engineer, he's really good. The 2 arrangers, Anthony Wilson and Josh Nelson, Edwin and Lorca. This record turned out to be a very emotional project because it inspires people by the songs themselves, their memories. It's a call to action, to find something in yourself, to be inspired, to help each other, and to come together as humans.
This was a really powerful project to be a part of, and I'm very proud of it. Proud of Cathy and the wonderful musicians that performed and arranged for this project. And it is an incredible collection of songs that I think will resonate for many different generations.
This album is for everyone. It's got a universal message. When you hear it, you will get it. So, I give that to you. Yay! Thank you. I like to listen to the applause. Hi, guys. Let's see. Oh, I think I'm still making music somewhere. Oh, my goodness. Oh, and it's me even. Sorry, let me stop myself from singing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my friends, and I'm going to introduce each and every one of them. I'm very happy to have them here. And to tell you the truth, guys, it was John Bishop who suggested that we do this. So pretty cool, right? You guys all can unmute, because, unless there's something going on in the background.
That'd be crazy.
I know, man. Hi, Edwin. Hey, Mon, you have to unmute. You're muted. Yeah, you have to unmute. He's going to figure it out. So, here I am with my beautiful friends here. Dan Davilla, the waving person. He's the co-producer on this. And Josh Nelson, arranger and pianist. Anthony Wilson, arranger and guitarist. Lorca Hart, drummer. Edwin Livingston, bassist. And Mon David is here. He was my guest on Save the Children. And Paul Jost hopefully will show up too. So hi, guys.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey there.
Hello. Happy New Year to all.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you.
Likewise.
So what are we going to talk about?
We should talk about religion and politics.
No, sometimes I do end up talking about religion and politics, just usually with somebody who agrees with me. I mean, on this, noontime hang. Well, let's talk about the project a little bit. Dan, you and I talk about how it started.
Well, it started, we had a discussion in the parking structure for your curated venue, just jazz, or not just jazz.
You mean for Bar Fedora?
Bar Fedora. And it was an idea I had, and I sort of talked to you about it to say, what do you think about these two projects, and put them together, and we came up, well, say anything to you, and it becomes reality.
Yeah, really, like, hey, yeah. Okay, let's do it.
But I had seen Josh at the Blue Whale with Kenny Washington, and I thought that was such a great show that it became sort of in my mind, let's do something that's still jazz, but has a little bit of a modern feel to it. And then we came up with a list of songs. And
I just have to share with you guys that process. That process have you ever wanted, like, you had a choice of you had a choice to pick something. However, the person giving you the choices kept giving you choices and choices and choices. That's what Dan did. He kept giving me. I have this huge list, and but it was great to have that on that side. But also too many choices, But anyway, but you don't know until you try. But the picking of the songs was interesting because, there's, I don't know about you guys, you probably all feel the same, you can chime in, but, those songs, well, of course, a lot of the songs from the 70s were cool for me because I was, let's see, I was mid to late teens, and everything was happening then. When I graduated high school, it was 1971, and all the, for what it's worth, that was happening. And but then there's other songs later, like Peter Gabriel and Sting, and there's so many songs that reach inside of you. Sometimes it's the music itself, and then sometimes it's the message of the story. So that's why it was this kind of a project is hard to pick. Any of you guys have experiences like that?
Not all speak at once.
Well, I'm sure if you did tributes to somebody,
Yeah, right.
right, which you guys have done, it's an interesting pick to, it's like, what songs, like, what was that one song that I always loved, that once I looked at the lyrics, I was like, I can't do this song. It's just like, it's not really happening lyrically, but the music is something that will stay in my body forever,
I think that's one of the hardest parts of doing any kind of, compilation or tribute project. I mean, actually, Lorca is working on his new project right now.
I was just thinking about that. Yeah.
And I think he's going through a similar kind of process of, like, there's so much good music, so many songs that resonate for us, but what are going to be the ones that kind of rise to the top and present themselves for the best in that moment, of course. And so it's interesting. I did a recording recently with bassist Bob Bowman and Bob Shepard and Clay Jenkins and Steve Houghton, and all these guys brought great tunes in, and it was so much fun. We did it at Tally Sherwood's, and it was hard to pick what we not only would record, but we recorded so much music. Like, okay, well, now it's like 2 records, so, like, how do you whittle it down and get it to be a cohesive project that has some kind of thematic, maybe not even that, but just some kind of unifying,
something that ties it,
right, that kind of makes it all kind of work together. So it was a good challenge. But I remember that list, Cathy, that you sent Anthony and I think, or maybe everybody, but I was like, oh my God, there's so many good tunes on here. How?
And that was just like a tiny bit of the list.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
That was like what I finally went, okay, well, I could do this. I could do these. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lorca, what are you working on?
Just, another project, another recording. And actually, I guess it was kind of Josh who, I was searching for an idea or kind of a theme or some concept for the record. Josh was like, well, one idea is maybe, so many great folks have great master musicians have kind of passed, not necessarily because of COVID, but during this period, it just seems like the last couple of years, we've lost so many of the greats. And so it was kind of like, well, why don't you do kind of a, celebration of their music.
Oh.
But again, it's a list of whatever, hundreds of people. How do you whittle that down to 8 to 10 tunes, and what are kind of the corollaries, what am I trying to kind of present, and what's the meaning behind the tunes that I choose. And so anyway, very challenging, but
Very
hopefully,
deep.
yeah.
That's
Ultimately,
deep,
I
man.
think it's
Yeah.
exciting, but yeah, definitely a challenge.
Yeah, because you have to think what's important to you.
Right.
I guess it's a process like everything else, right? You just have
Sure.
to start thinking, and then it comes to you.
Right. Yeah. Just takes a little time and maybe a little beating your head against the wall and trying to really, kind of figure it out. So
See, conversations like this make me feel better about what I go through.
oh yeah, right, yeah.
But not just you.
Exactly. Anthony, what did you think when you saw
I was just going to say you actually don't know before playing with musicians what you're going to feel about anything. So it's also one of the stumbling blocks
That's
to
so true.
in advance narrow things down. I mean, it's just something that we're kind of stuck with in the process because things cost money to make. You can't just go and like sit in the studio for a month like the Beatles did,
Yeah, right.
and everybody watched this Get Back documentary.
Yeah.
I heard it's good.
Not yet. Yeah,
It's so brilliant, so incredible. And one of the main things that sticks out to me thinking about it right now is just the sense of like, I mean, they're jamming on things that they played when they were in Hamburg. They're jamming on songs that they'd recorded in the previous year. Then they take little left turns. They're just sitting in a place for day after day. And then the songs for Let It Be and Abbey Road start to emerge from the process of sitting together every day and doing it.
Right.
But we don't have this luxury to
don't
just
have that
like
luxury. Yeah.
brain dump anything that comes out of our head like for a month. And then because ideally I think I like the idea of having much too much and not in advance limiting myself. But we can't do that. So you have to tune into yourself and think and imagine the players that you're playing with, what the process might be like. Okay, I think these tunes will work, maybe a couple extras, and we'll see what happens when we get in there. And it's more about kind of depending on your instincts and your imagination going forward, what it might be like for those 2, 3, 4 days of the main recording of the project, and which is also exciting. I mean, that editing in advance can actually be really, really good. So
Yeah.
the thing that I'm writing right now, which I've been writing since 2019, this thing that I've been in Memphis working on, I'm almost up to 20 songs.
Wow.
So but 20 songs is a big record,
Chunk.
huge. And I want to write a few more and then whittle down from there, and kind of construct the narrative from there. But that's kind of in keeping with having too much, rather than I'm going to write 14 songs, these will be the songs. I'll write 22 or 24 and then see what happens.
Right.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Look
Are you-
forward to hearing them.
Yeah.
So Anthony took a, what would you call it?
Well, I was doing an artist residency at a place called Crosstown Arts in Memphis, a really amazing place. I would, if there are other composers listening that are looking to kind of find a place where they might work in relative seclusion for like 3 months, this organization is pretty amazing. They sponsor visual artists, novelists, poets, and musicians. There was one other a songwriter there, and it was just fantastic. So I have a project that's based on my family history in Mississippi and other interests having to do with Mississippi, and so being in Memphis was a perfect place for me to go, because I was right there in the zone for over 3 months.
Wow. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's so cool.
That was cool.
Yeah, that it sounds so it sounds so appealing. It's something that I don't know, maybe most of us can just dream about. It's like, oh, imagine going away for 3 months with nothing to do but, do your art. It's wow. It's really good.
Yeah, it's hard to carve out. It's hard to carve out the time. It's hard to carve out the time in a single day, or a single week.
Yeah.
And to say like I'm just going to leave that's a big commitment.
Big commitment. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great that you were able to do it. Yeah. So and yeah, Edwin and Mon. Let's see. Well, Dan and I also, we threw around ideas for musicians too. And then when we came up with this particular group, it was like, yeah, it was really rich and nice. And I have to say that the reviews pretty much all mention, how beautiful the band is, how great the playing is. And I feel that too. I feel really it's just a beautiful experience, having you guys create around me, it's great. Edwin, you have anything to say about that?
I agree.
When I called you, you said,
I concur.
about that.
But I think one thing that I really enjoyed about the project was the fact that these were songs that most of the songs I was familiar with, except there were a few that were like, I wasn't hip to the Down to Earth, the Pretty Gabriel one as much because I didn't see the movie and I didn't hear the song as a separate entity. But most of the other ones, I knew those versions and the 70s versions and all that. And I guess the main thing I really enjoyed was the fact that these songs were not like the originals. That these were somewhat expanded musically, and there was actual, we had a little chance to kind of get into the arrangements.
Yeah.
More so than just kind of like doing how they were done, previously, but also in this very specific a context, like Dan said, kind of like more of a jazz, lack of a better word. I'm trying to not use the word jazz anymore because jazz is just to me it's just a word. It doesn't really mean a whole lot for me personally. I'd rather just say a music, or whatever, improvised music, whatever you want to call it, or music that has improvisation that's used in it. But that's just me. So it was cool to really do these songs in that way, mainly.
Yeah, it's funny about the titles or the names, and we've all had experiences where we're playing something and somebody comes up. Like, for instance, I was on a gig and we were playing a country tune and somebody came up and said, "Could we hear a country tune?" And it was like, oh, I get it. It's the jazz group doing a country tune. Reminds you of a country tune, but it doesn't really sound like a country tune. But yeah, it's great. I mean, and because of the song choices, it brought stuff out of us that had been in there for years, right? Like it wasn't until I started working on the vocals after the band had recorded and I heard Save the Children, and it's the longest song on the record. And I thought to myself, God, I just don't know what I can bring to this for so long. And almost immediately I thought of Mon, because Mon has, Mon and I work together a lot. We know each other musically, and I just knew he had the passion to bring the gravitas, to this song, which he totally did. Mon.
Oh.
My
Gravitas.
my guests here.
Gravitas.
Gravitas. Wow,
One of
that's
the choices.
I think that's the first time I've used that word.
Yeah. Mon
That's a
David.
$10
huge-
word.
That's a huge word. Yeah, you were right about the. Of course, aside from the beautiful, the serious messages in the songs, I couldn't help focusing on the arrangements and the playing of the wonderful musicians involved in this project. It gave us that space, but at the same time, it inspired us to come up with our own thing because of their solos. And I'm talking about almost all the tracks have those parts, right? Kath, the solos. It's so special in that way, and that's what makes it, if I may use the word, jazzy, jazzy sounding. You know, each individual performers and musicians had their own, were able to share their own stories and express their own take about the messages of each song. And I think this will make a mark in the listening world, in the recording world, because of your choices of songs and your vulnerable approach in expressing those emotions and those sentiments. You were talking about the process of choosing the material. I couldn't help relating it to the gigs that we would always do very often. It's always, I always go back home after a gig telling myself, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have. So I think the challenge here is how to lessen those I should haves in our musical worlds, right? Because there's just too much to savor and enjoy. I keep telling our friends that I'd like to have 10 more lifetimes to be able to interpret and sing and perform all these great songs written for all of us to enjoy and savor. And if I may go back to your repertoire, I'm still absorbing the particular beautiful parts of each song. I'm not like Edwin said, I'm not familiar with the Peter Gabriel song, and at the moment I'm really savoring and enjoying each track, including the solos and the playing of each. Lorca, Edwin, and Josh and Anthony. Yeah, and of course you're being the engineer and the architect of this project. We thank you for allowing us to share and express our sentiments about these issues that, by the way, we're all experiencing until now, right?
Yeah.
They're all still very relevant.
Yes, they are. I have a question here for all of us, which track was the most fun to do? Lorca, you said in the interview, I think you were really knocked out by For What It's Worth, but was that your favorite one?
I know that's tough, but all of them had something special. But I think, for me, there was something about the arc and the way. And I guess, of course, viewing it from maybe a drum lens, kind of, going, changing feels and kind of ramping up and kind of the energy. Just kind of the journey that I went on, as a drummer playing the tune. So anyway, I really kind of, that tune resonated with me. And just so much fun to play, and I love the solos on that, both Anthony and Josh, and just a blast to play that.
And that bass line there, man, that for me, that's a hook. That's a huge it's just killing that line. You know, all of a sudden you're in this direction, which is so out there and so in at the same time. Anthony.
When I was stumbled on that little theme, you know, I was just sitting at my piano and just singing the song. And when I finally stumbled on that, I just sat there for like the whole day playing that, you know, for hours. I just keep coming back. I was like, oh, this is fun, you know, and just, yeah, it kind of like just thinking about that song and how much I'd heard it over the years and sitting at the piano going, what the hell am I going to do with this? I have no idea, you know, and then just like thinking first about this little one note kind of repeated this motif, and then stumbling on that bass line really helped me kind of focus into a way that it could be much different, you know.
It's a source of joy, Anthony, that part.
Same here.
Let's hear a little bit of it. This is a good moment. So I'm going to share my screen, and for what it's worth, there's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there. He's telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
That's this part here.
There's battle lines being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Young people speaking their minds are getting so much resistance from behind. Stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look. Oh, stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
So Anthony. And I mean that the best possible.
Where are we now?
Here it comes.
Perfect.
Perfect. There was natural art there, I agree.
What a field day for the heat. 1,000 people in the street, singing songs and carrying signs, mostly say hooray for our side. I think it's time we stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. What's that sound? Everybody look. Oh, stop. Hey, what's that sound? Stop. Oh, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Oh, paranoia strikes so deep into your life, it will creep. It starts when you're always afraid. You step out of line, the men come
and take you away. You better stop and look around. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Everybody look. Hey, everybody look. That's the thousand people in the street. Everybody look. Come on, children.
Everybody look.
Everybody look. Stop now. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Yeah. Everybody look what's going down. Oh, look around now. Whoa. Stop, children. What's that sound? What's that sound? Hey, hey, what's that sound? Hey, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Cool, man.
Yeah,
That
Cathy.
is so, gosh, you guys are
Kathy,
so great.
DJ, vocalist, spoken word, boy, it's just on it.
Definitely a process. Josh, yeah, your solos were
Yeah.
so, and Anthony, both of you, all of you guys, it's the music really is such a turn on for me because it's it has all these qualities, and I really use that word qualities, because there's space. All of you have the most beautiful relation to space, using space, and then and then backing it up with your individual qualities. It's just really just so beautiful. It's such a turn on.
I think this track was my favorite, not only to just listen to with you guys, but like when I put the album on. It's such a great opener for the album, but to me it's like a topic sentence for the record, and you can hear Cathy, your great performance is so good, and the background vocals, and then Anthony, you're playing in the arrangement, and then Lorca and Edwin, our connection over the years, and I can just hear like everyone's stories all like coming through in this one track. Not that they don't happen in the other tracks, but there's something about the way you captured this song, Anthony, and just like let us talk to each other.
Yeah.
Really
totally,
natural.
totally get that. Yeah, it's like listening to it now. It's like feels so collaborative, and so everybody saying their thing, to each other. Yeah. It's very cool in that way. and then what you did with it, Cathy, where you took it, is extra special.
That song that was a really crucial time for me. I was in high school, and that was the time when, just the whole war was escalating, and, I grew up in Boston and Newton, and it was kind of a politically aware area, and it was, I had a group with a guitar player, of course. You know me, I like guitar. And and it was just it was such a it's a visceral time. Okay, that's another time. I don't use that word a lot. But it was very, very tangible, and
$5 word.
not a $10 word.
Gravitas.
Gravitas is 10, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, she just said tangible too. Tangible.
It's a $7 word.
Seven. You get 7 for tangible.
Keep score. Yeah.
So I know Lorca's going to have to leave because he has to pick up his child.
I got about 5 minutes.
Okay. I don't want to leave you out of the conversation, but
Just talk for 5 minutes more.
Yeah.
Free form, whatever you want.
Yeah. Stream of consciousness.
Finally.
So Taylor Hatch has a question. He wants to know for the arrangers, which tune was the most challenging to finish, and how did you go about carefully choosing what feeling or harmony was suitable for each track? But I like the first part of that. Which tune was the most challenging to finish? Did you guys feel any of that?
Maybe
Anthony,
Josh
you
go first.
Okay.
I want to look at the list of tunes again.
You want to relive it? I know isn't it funny how like once you do it, it's kind of gone. That's why listening again in this situation is so kind of surprising and refreshing because it's like, oh yeah, right. Now I remember.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, by far for me, the hardest tune to arrange, like just arrange and be fresh with and then perform. And I think as a band, we maybe not struggled, but it took a minute to figure out what we were doing, was the Peter Gabriel tune, Down to Earth. And it was probably the one that's the most fish out of water on this album. It's the newest song on the record, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most current. And it's so Peter Gabriel, and it's like you want to point at him, but you also want to obviously point at the song and point at Cathy's performance of it. And how do we get away from it? I lean towards more traditional arranging sometimes on songs like that because it's already has this thing. So when you bring it into a different ensemble with different instruments, you don't have to do so much because the players are gonna just affect it as they do. We were bringing it out of the Gabriel world, instrumentation wise, and bringing it into it, for lack of a better description, of jazz instrumentation or some kind of chamber, group. So that one was by far the most difficult. And then we had some overdubs and some fixes and background vocals, but it came together. That one was I was kind of like, what is this tune? Yeah. So
Yeah, I remember being in the studio too. I didn't know it as well as I thought I did, and so I think it changes keys or
not
something.
An easy song, yeah.
Yeah, and that spot was like, uh-oh, where am I?
Right.
Yeah. That, to me, I think that was probably I think that was the most challenging song too. And also to think of what the emotional meaning behind the song too, and how it fit into this project, right?
Right.
But it did fit into this project actually in the end.
I think so.
What about you, Ann?
Well, I think it was Save the Children. First of all, just because I've listened to that music
Iconic.
all of my life, and I just didn't really know how do you even how do you go there, and and I had a kind of an idea in my mind, something kind of like some kind of late Coltrane, Pharoah Sanders kind of spiritual jazz. Like I was hearing something in my head that we ended up kind of dismantling it in the studio and coming back to something that worked better. I mean, Cathy, I remember you saying I'm not in here, and I remember Josh even had some and then once we kind of took it out of where I was first hearing it into this kind of rolling three thing, it started to kind of open up for us, but I found it difficult, and maybe that's why we needed to kind of collaborate on the feel and the flow of the thing. You
have to play it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Which, like you said, I mean, if we, in a different life and time, and if we had hours and hours to sit around, that would have come naturally, more quickly, maybe. I don't know. It didn't really didn't take that long, really.
No.
But it is the longest song on the record.
Yeah.
And somebody, I can't remember who, but somebody suggested well, maybe you want to edit it. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. because it's epic. It really is epic. And Dan and I, when we decided to put it at the end, Dan, do you remember what we were considering? What other song we were considering for the end? Can't remember.
No, I think what happened on that song was when you decided to bring Mon in as a guest vocalist on it, because it was missing something, and in that rapport between you and Mon, and once we heard it, it was like there wasn't a choice. It was that is the last song on this album, because it was so into the whole social anthem theme.
Yeah.
And the whole concept of the song came out with that dialogue between you and Mon. It was just, to me, that was the highlight.
Yeah. Lorca, I'm getting your vibe. You're going, aren't you?
He's already gone.
Am I giving off a vibe?
I got your picture or something. Thanks for coming, Lorca, and thank you for your beautiful work on the project.
Yeah, it was just, so wonderful to be a part of it. I mean, you, Cathy, and, all the players and Dan, and I just, it's still something I listen to and look back at just really, really fondly, and yeah, just very grateful to have been a part of it. And I hope going forward that we're able to kind of find a way to play this music again and kind of, continue the vibe and the energy of this project somehow. So, yeah, all the best, everybody. Love you guys.
Love you, Lorca.
See you.
Yeah, Happy New Year. See y'all soon somewhere.
All right.
Hey, Happy New Year.
Take care.
Stay healthy, Lorca.
Bye.
Yeah, I thought it would be nice. Let's see.
Well,
Roland.
have a non sequitur real quick.
Oh no.
You?
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I hate to do it, but I've just now noticed your rank, Cathy. I didn't know you were a sergeant.
Oh yes.
I see. Yes, I see you are sporting your.
Thank you for noticing. You know what? This is my dad's.
Wow.
Really?
I actually was able to save my dad's shirt.
Wow. Okay.
That's nice.
That was a long time ago, and it hangs in my closet mostly. But I thought today, yeah, I'm gonna. I don't know why, but it just, yeah. Thank you for noticing.
Well, I noticed authority, so.
Yeah, I like that, man. That kind of turns me on.
Turns me on.
Anyway,
Time
go
to
ahead. Go
dismantle. Time to dismantle.
Roland has a question. This is for me, pretty much. Curious about the nightmare of licensing for this project. Actually, it's not. It's so easy these days. It's embarrassingly easy. I do remember when licensing was a little more difficult, but now there's one site that you go to and they actually take care of everything, and it's cheap. It's kind of. And let's see. Despite the challenge, this is from Taylor. He always asks good questions. Despite the challenges with the pandemic during the recording process, which actually we did it before the pandemic, what was a meaningful moment you had experienced during the recording process that stuck with you? I don't know. I have some. Somebody else answer, and I'll go look for a few fun pictures.
So for me, the highlight was when Paul Jost did his background vocals, and it came back, and how that just developed into, because I'd heard Josh's version And So It Goes with Sarah Gazarek. And I, when Cathy gave the music to Paul to put his spin on it, what he came back with was so different than anything I'd heard on that song. And then with Anthony's guitar, it just that was a highlight to me, and it was a surprise how it developed and came out.
It was really beautiful, wasn't it?
Oh,
Kath, speaking of And So It Goes, I'm sorry, Anthony, if I
no, not at all.
I've been meaning to ask you, Kath, that was a brilliant idea. The mix of his vocals, was that Paul Jost's idea, or was it yours? Or
it was Paul's. Yeah,
it's just brilliant. For me, it's just brilliant.
Yeah,
that flat, nothing, no effects, no.
Oh, the mix. Yeah,
the mix of the vocals. Whose idea was that? I just want to know.
That pretty much was Paul's. I actually, look at that. And
it's brilliant.
Let's check with Paul and see.
For me, it's a highlight.
Paul Jost, we were just thinking of you. Okay, let's see. He's joining us. Paul Jost. Well, he is joining us, but we should. I'll talk a little bit about it. So, of course, when I had the song, I had sung on it, and I just felt Paul would be really good for this song. Very intimate. Oh, he left. He'll come back. So I sent it to him, and then we didn't talk about what was going to happen. He sent it back, and it was him speaking on it, like it ended up, right? And I was immediately blown away. I just was so shocked, and it was so beautiful. And so we continued on, fine tuning. And hi.
Am I there?
Hey, Paul.
Hey, everybody. Happy New Year. Jeez, what an expert I am at this. Ow.
It's funny that you just got on, because literally right before you came on, Mon asked about And So It Goes, and about the mixing of it, of your voice.
Oh.
So I was just telling a little story. So then I put reverb on everything, but a little bit, not too much. But I sent it back, and Paul said, I'm thinking no reverb, like dry. And so we tried it. We went back and forth a little bit, and then ended up, I think it was totally dry or almost totally dry, right? I can't remember.
Yeah, I always play that middle ground, like, whatever you think, I feel really strong about something, but whatever you think. So because it really is it's all beautiful. It just came out so great. I just felt that the immediacy of no reverb just put him more in my ear. The reverb sounded great as a record, sounded better as a record, but in terms of the actual interaction, I felt the dryness put him in the same room and right in my ear whispering, and that's what I was kind of going for. I think I thought the harmonica was too loud, and I went back and forth that about 9 times. I think it wound up being like it's a little too light. But it's really beautiful. What you did on that is so lovely, and man, the playing, Anthony, jeez, good Lord, it was just breathtaking. I'd be crying so many times just getting into the music. First, trying to find my own way to try and interpret the stuff because it felt slower than I would think to do it, though I like things really slow. I mean, Shirley Horn is like a little bit too aggressive for me. But because I'm not that kind of a singer that can really elongate things, my breath and all that, I was having a hard time. I finally found my way, but the music was just so stunning that I think that's probably what led me to wind up speaking, just like wind up crying with it. And the muse or whatever, speak in your head, saying, just, why don't you just speak it? You can't sing it, obviously. Why don't you try singing it,
I think that was my first thought, was that it was so egoless of you, being a singer.
No, never that. I was fighting for my space. Hey, look at me! Look at me! I appreciate you saying that. But it's all about the music, like we all know. The music always goes first. We always subordinate ourselves, or I don't know if that's the right word. We give ourselves
$12 word.
$12 word. But the music always rules, and you can hear that in everybody's playing. That's what makes it so special with this ensemble, and I'm sure with a lot of ensembles that we play and musicians that we choose to play with, or we wouldn't be playing with them. But I'm sure we've all come across playing with people that have an agenda, and music is like the second or third thing on their list. That's important. It's more important that I get this expression out that I've been working on for 16 hours, and God damn it, you're going to hear it. I find this thing, and I don't care if it fits or not, or all that stuff. So it's just so beautiful. Just the way there's I don't mean this. I never like to compare, because there's no comparison. But the thing I love is like I just lost his name, but I love his playing so much on guitar because it's always liquid. It always feels like shit is moving. It could be like vibrato on the chord. It just always feels like it's moving. It has a life. It's not just. Yeah. I don't mean just the notes, but.
Are you speaking of the whole experience of the band playing?
Yeah, but it was really more the guitar. That's what I really kind of keyed on. Everybody played so sensitively. I barely recognized that there was bass on it. Because I was hearing low end.
Edwin, you didn't hear that.
No, because of the mix that I had, I was hearing more guitar in my mix. I was hearing the low end from the guitar, and it was like, hey, there's a bass on this, and it's beautiful. It was, it's all great. I wish I could think of the guitar player, because I'm sure you would love him. Probably one of your favorites. But anyway, I'm talking too much, but it was just beautiful. The landscape was so gorgeous, that. I'll say one last thing. I think I said this on your thing, Cathy, that sometimes when you're lucky enough to be given the gift of such a juicy piece of music, that all you really have to do is pretty much stay out of the way if you can, because the music or the lyric, or it carries maybe 90-95% of the weight. You just have to let it happen and not try to make it be, because it already is. And I said this before, like about David Mamet, great playwright, and directing some stuff, him going off on some of the actors, like if you would just stand still and say the words, it's really going to serve the play a whole lot better than all these histrionics, because I don't know why you're doing this stuff, like, all that, what is that, So
yeah.
I'm not taking anything away from us, but it's a juicy piece, and then all these elements, and,
Yeah, well, before you were on, and we were talking about For What It's Worth, and then we listened to it, and it just I was telling, I'm sure everybody feels the same, because you can't not feel the same and have it come out like that. But I was just saying what a turn on for me it was, because of the quality of the music and the space. Everybody has this beautiful relation with space. And then Anthony mentioned that it was like a conversation, that was just a continuing conversation. Really beautiful. Just great playing. I mean, that's what happens when you get the right people together, right?
Yeah, because you guys, the musicians have already developed that conversation, and then we're coming in on the conversation so we kind of find our way. And when it does, that kind of happened with me with Frank Strauss on this version of Waltz for Debbie that we did. We did it like 100 miles away from each other at different times, but we both had the same. We spoken about it a little bit, but it wasn't like a chart or anything, and I swear to God, it was just one take. I listened to it, and I did one take, and I corrected one thing. I think I sang a wrong word or sang something out of tune, but it was just so. It was like we were in the same room telling the same story at the same time, even though we were miles apart. And that's kind of what this felt like too. That we find our way into the conversation, and I guess that's because there's space there. And
Yeah.
all.
There's at our CD release party, Anthony did one of his songs that was in the same arena of the subject matter, and it was so beautiful. Anthony's such a Paul. You would love to hear. I don't know if you've heard Anthony's songs that he's written and he sings, and it's.
Yeah, you sing too? Oh man, start poisoning his food.
But Anthony, tell the listening audience about that song. It's just such a beautiful song.
Well, before even saying that, I just kind of wanted to put in 2 cents about, and so it goes, just because, that's a really that was just to speak a little bit about the process of recording that with y'all, because it's a really delicate. It's both juicy, as you say, Paul, and also really delicate. And I think in cutting that, we really focused on the delicacy of it. How each phrase could how much could be drawn out of each phrase instead of kind of rolling it along.
Yeah.
That song can kind of be rolled along too.
Yeah.
And which is a fine way of doing it, but we really stretched it out, and and so much so that I was worried that it would get so stretched out it would just fall apart, and I was worried about doing that with my own playing, about how spare to play, how little to play,
Right.
without the thing just going, I was really worried, and
it's something like, so I'm a big proponent of, that quiet is more powerful even than volume, because you really kind of command people to listen, like if you speak softly, people lean in to hear what you're saying,
Yeah.
Or I think of Bernard Herrmann with, Hitchcock, like the orchestra would come down to just a violin and subliminally it just draws you in, you don't even realize it. And then the knife comes out, it's like, oh my God, then you really get scared.
Yeah.
So though I love the power of that, I feel the same way sometimes, like, am I going to get so quiet that I'll disappear? Without intending to? Am I being like, do I need to be just a little bit more emphatic, than being so soft? And I remember playing drums on Bobby Scott, who I love so much. I played on his last record. And he did some ballads that were so slow. And if I put 2 and 4 on the hi-hat, it felt like an explosion, man. If it wasn't locked, it just felt so fucking, it felt so wrong because it was so obvious that it wasn't landing, but it was like subdividing, like 1, 2, oh my God, and trying to feel comfortable with that. And it was a great band. I was a younger fellow. It was
Let's sorry to interrupt. Let's just hear a little bit of it because it is so beautiful. I mean, we may hear everything, a little bit of everything, but we won't listen to the whole thing. But it is so slow and so beautiful.
So beautiful.
a sanctuary safe and strong to heal the wounds from lovers past until a new one comes along.
I spoke to you in cautious tones. You answered me with no pretense. And still, I feel I said too much. My silence is my self-defense. And every time I've held a rose,
it seems I only felt the thorns.
and so it goes.
And so it goes, and so it goes,
And so it goes.
and so will you soon,
And so will you.
I
I suppose. But if my silence made you leave, then that would be my worst mistake. So I will share this room with you. And you can have this heart to break.
Oh, yeah, that is just a real moment in time. Yeah. Incredible. Sorry, Paul, I muted you because there was a little noise on your end.
Yeah, that noise was me. Yeah, I love those lines that you sing. You know, when I first heard them, they were just so beautiful and so haunting, just lovely. And you know, guys, I told Cathy that this is one of those. I could care. Well, not that I could. It'll probably never get heard. It's never going to get airplay. But it's one of the most beautiful and important things that I've ever done in my life. I just love the realization of the tune, and as an artist, you know, that's what we go for. That all we can hope to do is to inspire a reaction, whether it's good or bad. That song, anybody hearing it they're gonna have a reaction to it. They're either gonna say, it's too long, it's too low, or they're gonna say, oh my God, it just, I cried through the, it's gonna be something, but nobody's gonna listen to it and say, oh yeah, and so it goes, Billy Joel. Yeah, you ever heard this version of, it's not gonna do that. I love doing that. I wish you know, a million people heard it, but I'm just glad I had the opportunity to be a small part of it, you know.
It's beautiful, and that also brings to mind for me. What are we gonna do? Which Josh, you arranged that, right? And that
You're
song.
magnificent, Josh. You are something else, man. So I just got to throw that in there. You know, I've been listening to your records. Jeez, you know, you're just amazing, just amazing.
Oh, thanks. Likewise, I feel the same way about you, Paul.
Oh well, thank you. I already got diabetes, so you can stop. But it's type 2. It's type 2. I can keep going and get type 1.
But that song was it was kind of perfect for this whole vibe of the whole record. I had written it about this, probably, you know how there's like maybe 4 or 5 uncomfortable situations that you created in your life that you kind of, every time you really get into thinking about it, you feel bad again. It was one of those situations. And I was driving to see this person that I was having a bad moment with. And I wrote this song. And I really, what are we going to do when we're basically trying, we're human and shit happens. And where's the book that says how to get out of it, And I thought Josh just made this the most beautiful, sensitive expression of this song. It was so beautiful. I really just loved what came out,
Yeah.
Thanks. It's a great tune. I remember on the big list that you and Dan had submitted, I think this was on it, and or you showed it to me, and I was like, oh man, Cathy, this I think it'll be great, and didn't need a lot, just a couple, little things here and there, but it was so full of nice space already, and just had a nice flow and beautiful kind of lyric and story, and it was easy.
I think you and Anthony and I get together at your house, right?
I believe we did.
In the beginning?
I feel like you had a demo that you just did with Josh. I feel like maybe we got together and played it. I'm it's a blur.
She brought the sheet music. We all met at Josh's house.
Oh, Dan, you were there too.
And she brought the sheet music,
Right.
and Josh went to the piano and played it, and she sang it. So it was like a demo, but it was a live demo.
A live demo. Yeah.
Yeah. And we sort of felt like the emphasis of the song fit the project.
Yeah.
And so Josh
It's such a
sort of
good
said,
song.
let me take that one. So
It's such a good song.
Yeah.
I want to hear a little bit of it too. What are we going to do? Let's see. Cathy Segal-Garcia, what are we going to do? Okay, so here's a little bit of this one. Now you'll see what I mean. I just have to say that this style for me was definitely out of my, I don't know, high school and college years. Even though I was a jazzer from the beginning, still this style was so prevalent in my life. And so it was really interesting to do these songs and bring that part out of me. People always used to say, oh, you sound like Joni Mitchell, not as I got to be more jazzy, but in, a lot of the music that I used to sing, they would say that. What are we gonna do when we have got to decide which way to turn, which way to learn? And what are we gonna do when we have got to decide which way to go? How do we know? How are we gonna lift ourselves in spirit and sight and justify this human race? How do we recognize what's wrong and make it go right? And let our hearts illuminate our and when to fight, when is it right? How are we gonna know which bridge has got to be burned, which road to take, which road to make? If life starts to decline and throws us a curve and makes us go blind, I got to find the right door to open our hearts and help us stay kind. Love the solo coming down out of the solos. How to play the solos. You guys are too good, man. Too
I have to
good.
say something.
Love that tune. Great
I have to say
arrangement.
something about Anthony's performance on this. You know, I just wrote, you know, that beginning that he worked out was all him, and this is a testament to, you know, Dan, you group and Cathy picking the right cats for the gig, but for the recording. But I'm always just amazed at Anthony how you come up with such a nice part. It was one chord, there was nothing written, and I watched him just kind of like. We played the song once or twice, and then he just came up with this part. And it's your arranger brain just always amazes me. And I'm just like, you know, it's like I like leaving space on arrangements, like I know you do, Anthony, and that lets us do what we do and find that moment in the studio, so it feels right for everything that's happening. But just re-listening to it now, I was like, oh yeah, I didn't write anything. He just came up with that, and it was just so perfect. And I love that. And then Cathy, I love how you keep the vocal involved, which was not necessarily my intent. I hate it really when vocalists kind of go away in the arrangement while the solos happen. I love that there's this thread that kind of you kept present, and it wasn't overbearing. It was just like, I'm here and I'm part of the conversation, and it just made it really enjoyable.
You know what?
One of my other
I have to say, I learned that from Mon David.
Oh, well.
Because Mon does that, right? He does a lot of that over solos. And I was always like, oh, they're soloing, I'm going to remove myself. But I was
about to say, I learned it from you.
I don't think
from
so.
You guys, from all of you, from each one of you.
It does, it adds if it's not overbearing.
Right.
It sounded almost like a line that had been.
Yeah, it's like polyphony, you know, it's like
polyphony, $15 word.
15 for polyphony, baby. I'm just trying to figure out how to make a few bucks off this.
I'm not sure I even know what that word means. What does it mean? Polyphony.
Okay.
Shit, do I know what it means?
Okay.
Yeah, just that weaving of
gravitas.
Is this really a game of Scrabble? This isn't even
landscape. Anyway, yeah. I'm sorry, Anthony. Go on.
Interweaving of voices, of melodic voices, doing things. It's not quite counterpoint. It's an interweaving of several melodic voices, and it just you don't like you hear. It's just such a beautiful way that whole episode takes place. Listening to it now, you know, it's solos, but it's not solos. It's something else, and it's something that I really love to hear in recordings when you lose the sense of whether soloing is happening. Um, and suddenly you enter into kind of this melodic world. And I always love when, if it works, when it can work, people improvising together and having that conversation and making those contributions and weaving something that's like its own little musical composition episode within a piece. And I think that was successful in doing that. You almost don't notice, suddenly you start noticing that you're in there, you know, because Josh kind of is there, and you're paying attention, and then your ear starts to go, oh, there's so much more happening here. And it's just, I don't know, it's real pleasurable to listen to in that way.
I think the other word that we should include is complementary.
Yeah, right.
Complementary, and the word affirmation. We affirm each other. We affirm everybody when we're in that setup, right?
Yeah, acknowledgement. Yeah.
Those are great. You know, I was going to say, it made me think. I played drums with this really great pianist, Ron Thomas, years ago. Just you could sit in silence, and it would be the heaviest silence you've ever been in. You know, I remember drooling at one point, just waiting to play. You know, because I called him for this gig, and because I heard him play on the radio, I just called him out of the blue. Said, "Hey man, I'm doing this thing at the Sands. Would you want to play?" He said, "Yeah, but I only really know like 12 songs." But of course, he knew. You know how some of us can listen to 100 records, some of us can listen to one record, and it depends on what you're. So he could do one song. You could do one song for 4 sets. It would always sound different. It might be in 7, might be in 4, might be in this key, that key. Go here. He just knew them completely. He'd had scoped out these were. But I remember doing like some playing, and he might go into some little hemiol or polyrhythm or something. And I would hit it back at him, sort of like to let him know, like, yeah, man, I hear what you're doing, and I'm with you, And he said, like when you hear something like that. I said it in a nicer way, but don't do that. Do something that complements what I'm doing. So if you hear me doing something, don't do something that's against that, or so that we're all breathing. I know you hear it. I don't need you to let me know. I know, And I remember, that happening conversely, like when I would play drums, like, if I were taking 4s or something, or if I got into a thing, sometimes you might do like a little double time thing that just kind of gives us a little thing, it's just a momentary thing. But then if the bass player or somebody would jump on it, it's like, oh shit, now we're into this, or if you're doing 4s, somebody jumps on your thing, now it becomes a composition, becomes a device that now we have to develop. We have to acknowledge it in some way, because if I didn't know that, So I love that thing, complementary. I learned that lesson. I still screw it up. I still don't have it completely together, but Ron Thomas really
that's cool.
Put me in my place for that, and it was great,
Yeah. Hey, also, Taylor, I'll get to your questions. They're all really good. But Josh, talk about Get Together and Can't Find My Way Home too.
Oh yeah, that was a challenge as well. I mean, not like Down to Earth, which had its own thing. I mean, the message at face value, listening to the songs, and I'm like, oh, the message will totally work as a medley, but musically and like how we were getting in and out and how they were working together was a little bit of a challenge. And I ended up really liking that we kind of gave the weight of the arrangement to Get Together, and then there was this later Can't Find My Way Back Home, and we just kind of mined the treasure of this one section of this song, which kind of like helped lift the arrangement and finish the arc of the arrangement, which obviously as arrangers we're always just trying to make sure it has an arc, it has a beginning, middle, end, and it takes us on this journey. So that one I remember struggling a little bit with where the transition might happen, or who's soloing, or where does this moment happen. And of course Anthony just always helps bridge any like idea or section. I think in the studio we kind of we were another one we were dismantling and kind of putting back together and going, okay, this can happen, and then that'll allow us to move there. And in a sense, yes, maybe I get the arranging credit, but we were all arranging it in the studio together as a band, with your guidance, Cathy, and just knew when it felt right in the moment, when we had a take that was workable, and that could be maybe manipulated later, but that was a nice one, and I really enjoyed working on it. I remember the intro, kind of just like I think I imagined Edwin, his arco playing, which he gets such a rich sound from his bass with his bow. And that was kind of the beginning. I was like, oh man, I want to write something for him to play. And it was just long notes, but it kind of was a conjuring, a summoning of energy and spirits on that one. I remember.
Yeah, and Can't Find My Way Home. That's one of those songs I was talking about. It's very short. There's hardly any words.
Right.
But that song just totally entered me, at the time it was being played, right? I mean, it was just, that was, oh my God, part of me so much growing up. I really wanted to include that. And I'm going to play just a little bit of it, just for fun. And Get Together, of course, everybody kept thinking when I would mention it, it was the other Get Together. But it was this Get Together. Yeah, the arco is quite beautiful on this, right? Love is but a song to sing. Fears the way we die. You can make the mountains rain, or make the angels cry. Though the bird is on the wing, you may not know why. Come on, people, now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another. Right now. Right now. Right now. Oh, some may come and some may go. We shall surely pass. When the one that left us here returns for us at last, we are but a moment's sunlight fading in the grass. Come on, people, now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another right now. If you hear the song I sing, you will understand. You hold the key to love and fear, all in your trembling hand. Just one key unlocks them both. It's there at your command. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. You know, this song, I think this song and Save the Children, you guys really stretched out in your playing, don't you think?
Mhm.
It was like very jazzy, right? Jazzy.
Beautiful solo, Anthony, on that. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And great comping too, Josh.
Thanks.
It was, yeah. It was great.
Great singing.
It holds so it's it holds the essence and the nature of these songs, but there's an improvisational approach as well to everything on this record. If one is gonna use this, the jazz part is just there. It's just in all of us in terms of the way we think about music, or the way we think about making something work. So even in something like What Are We Gonna Do, which has this certain kind of language and a kind of a sound, and I'm playing a flat top acoustic guitar, there's still something else going on, and it's all mixed in there. And so there's always this sense of kind of unfolding and improvisation and nothing being set, as I'm listening to it all now. Whereas, if we would try to take these songs and try to be true to their kind of popular music essence from their time, you don't need to do that. You can let them flower and open up in different ways. I mean, Save the Children, if you go back and listen to the original, it's almost like it's a jazz tune. It's really like, of all of the songs, it's the jazz tune of the songs. It has a certain kind of language that just reminds me of of the of jazz ballads, really, if you think about it. But no, I mean, I'm just sort of kind of free forming here, but just thinking that it all works together, and the jazz approach is to take that thing and work with it and play with it and allow improvisation to imbue it, and come out the other side of it, and also to honor the fact that that can all happen in performance. You don't have to over arrange, you don't have to overdo it. You let these things start to happen.
Right? Yeah, that's
which I think, that's what you wanted when we were in the studio. You didn't want to feel like locked into too much of the identity of the songs themselves from their past performance, because that you felt like then you couldn't do what you do as a jazz singer with them.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I found this project very challenging for that. Like, as I was working, and I'm sure I talked to both Paul and Mon about this, if not Dan as well. But I felt kind of naked because I hadn't really sung like that for a long time, and brought that up out of me, and I felt kind of awkward. It's like, I mean, I don't know if I felt awkward singing it, but I guess my ego, as I was moving on, I was thinking, wow, I don't know, I'm a jazz singer now, and I don't know if this is acceptable, or it will be acceptable. But that was just in the process, so I just kept going. And then after it was all done, people seemed to have good response to it. So I was like, oh, okay. It was definitely a growth for me, to do this project. And the next one is even more challenging because it's Social Anthems #2, because I think it's more crowded. There's Nick Mancini, even though the players have a sense of space as well, just the sheer number of people. So Nick Mancini on vibes, Carrie Frank on piano and B3, Alec, what's the bass player's name?
Bonham.
Sorry?
Alex Bonham.
Alex Bonham on bass, Steve Haas on drums, and Will Brom on guitar. So that's a lot, and right now I'm playing with, I took one of the songs and I'm playing with dropping things out, and creating some space for me, because I do know that I probably do better in space, just as a singer and an artist, just feels better to me to create when there's space. But it was definitely challenging project. Taylor, what did you say here? Every record has a different effect based on the mission of the message and the moments you've captured with the band members. Did recording each song give you all a special moment of wisdom that left your ego behind? God, what a great Taylor! You got to be you really should have like a podcast or something. He always has great questions. Did recording each song give you all a special moment of wisdom that left your ego behind? Well, it's kind of what I just said for me, I had to respond in the moment as truthfully as I could without thinking, thinking and analyzing,
So, something I remember Anthony telling me some years ago now, and I think maybe you got this from a friend or another arranger, Anthony, but not to get so married to a chord change or a moment in the music, and just be willing to let it all change and just be open to that, but also have conviction for what you think might be the best musical idea. And but also willing to just walk out the door and throw it away. And I remember in the session with you guys, that's what I came in wanting that feeling of just like, yes, this is how it's going to go, and I have no idea how it's going to go. And it could totally go the other way, and that's great. And we got what we needed done, and, you know, whatever. But so checking your ego, I mean, that's a great Taylor, you always have great observations, and that's another one. And that's how I felt with each song. I mean, actually trying to figure out where I could drop in something that didn't take away on and so it goes. I was probably one of the most difficult, not difficult, but just like, what can I say that Anthony and Cathy aren't already saying right now? And I think I might have been like, I don't want to play on this because I think you guys have it.
Yeah.
And so finding that space on that one was probably the biggest moment of wisdom, where, you know, as you put it, Taylor,
Dropping
leaving
your
my ego
ego
behind and just
Mhm.
not saying, hey, like you said, Paul, hey, look at me, I can do this, and here's this, and I've been practicing this whether you like it or not. No, it's not for the moment. Yeah, so it was built into this project from the beginning.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
I love when the music kind of tells you, you know what it really needs right now? You. Because everything you're trying, you know, I remember a long time ago, you know, like I was working on some chart and I was trying to write these horn things in. I was having real difficulty. I tried this thing, I tried that thing, and, you know, I tried unisons, I tried everything I could, and it was just like, finally, it was like, you know, the music's saying, it doesn't want horns. That's why it doesn't work, because it just doesn't want it. It's like, oh yeah, this might be a nice thing with the rhythm section, just kind of, right, okay.
Right.
Try to, you know, force those things in. I know just what you're saying, man. Like when something especially so delicate and you feel like all the ambience, all the architecture is there, like, am I going to add anything to this, or am I just going to disturb the message, you know?
Right.
yeah.
And honest to God, I think, well, you know, I say this about Jim Riddle because he's one of my perfect examples for this, that I don't know anyone with more facility, more, you know, harmonic awareness, and, you know, he's just a great guy, so creative. And he's always the first one to stop playing. You know, we'll just be playing, all of a sudden there'll be no piano, it'll just be bass or, you know, drums and voice or bass. It's like, wow, okay, so this puts like a different thing on it and allows this compositional thing to happen. It's just, you know, he's always thinking compositionally. He's never thinking about, let me get my rocks off on this so that, you know,
Right.
it could be another gig or something. You know, it's always about right now, the music that we're making right this second, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, that's like, I mean, making this record, I'm thinking that there's no special moments of, for me, there were no special moments of wisdom. The special moments of wisdom are the moments of not noticing that you're getting out of your own way. You know what I mean? Like, okay, now I've finally dropped into myself a little bit enough to get out of my own damn way and play and let the music come through me and not control it in the way that I was trying to 5 minutes ago. Suddenly you look at yourself 5 minutes ago, you're going, what was I doing 5 minutes ago? This feels good. It's not wisdom. It is wisdom, I guess, that allows you to do that, but it's not conscious wisdom. It's not thinking wisdom. It's not, this is what I'm going to try to do now. My wisdom allows me to do this.
Right.
It's like, whew, everything else drops away, and there you are, and you're present, and you're flowing into the space with your brothers and your sister, you know, and oh God, and all that other stuff is now gone, you know. That's the no ego, I guess.
Yeah,
but you
that's very
can't
cool.
say I'm going to get rid of my ego, because that's ego.
I love that.
Okay, I'm coming in. I'm going to get rid of my ego. I can do this. I got this together.
Yeah. God, there's so many philosophers that talk about that, that exact thing. You know, that actually, I want to ask Mon about that, because I feel like Mon had so much to say during Save the Children. And did you feel like this kind of thing, like the wisdom that left your ego behind, occur at some point?
I love what Paul mentioned a while ago. That thing about was it subjugating one's ego, Paul? To favor or to acknowledge and respect what's happening around you at the moment. I would always, I'm always reminded of that idea and that principle. And you and I, we both love, we both enjoy the waltzes and ballads of Bill Evans. And that principle, that philosophy is so present in that scenario, right? When especially his recordings with records with the affinity with Two Stillmans, and his duo projects with Jim Hall, which, by the way, inspired me to come up with the idea of DNA, and that same idea.
DNA meaning Mon's record.
Yeah, that duo project with Josh, which for me is very satisfying and fulfilling in many ways, because it kind of embodies that idea, respecting space and keeping in mind the ideas coming from your collaborator, which was Josh, by the way. And it continues as we do those little gigs here and there, and I continue experiencing that beautiful feeling, which, by the way, you can never repeat or redo or relive. Maybe you can relive the feeling, the experience, but sometimes you would go home. What, we did that? I didn't know. I don't remember doing that with him. And then you listen to a recorded material of the gig, and you realize that, wow, a lot of things happen in that particular moment. And I just realized how intense Josh's listening faculties are while I was doing my thing. And now going back to Save the Children, Kath, I was just drawing energy from you and from the words in front of me, the lyrics, and I was trying to channel as well at the same time Marvin Gaye's spirit and his dedication to the craft and to his surroundings, whatever was happening during those times. And I felt I was just an instrument, a small instrument in expressing those ideas. And I go back to you by being the engineer and the architect and the concept woman behind it all. So thank you for that opportunity. It's actually an honor and an opportunity to be able to sing and be surrounded with this glorious playing and music by the greats around us: Anthony, Josh, Edwin, and Lorca.
And I want to play a little bit of it because it's the last one that we'll get to, and it's just gorgeous.
I talk too much.
Yeah. I just want to ask a question. Who really cares? What will we finally do when we face what we're doing?
Will we take responsibility to help our brothers and sisters of humankind? People who live in the streets, the old people, the children, Mother Earth. Can we save the children?
Will you save the children? Oh, there'll come a time.
There'll come a time
when the world won't be singing.
When the world won't be singing.
No flowers, flowers won't grow.
And bells won't be ringing, be ringing. Who really cares? Who's willing to try? To save a world.
To save a world that's destined to die.
When I look at the world, it fills me with sorrow.
Oh, little children today,
little children,
they're really gonna suffer.
They'll suffer tomorrow. Oh, what a shame.
What a shame.
Such a bad way to live.
Such a bad way to live. Who is
to blame?
When we can't stop living.
Live for life,
but let live everybody.
Live life for the children.
Oh, for the children.
Save the children.
Save the children.
Save the babies.
Save all the babies. Save all the children. Oh boy. I'm gonna This is, like I said, a very long song. This is the last song, and it goes 9 minutes. But anyway, I mean, if that isn't a lesson in taking your time and just being okay with where you're at, I don't know what is. Because that one, it was slow, and it had lots of space, and it was so beautiful. Even just without the vocals, it was like this beautiful bed of kind of heaven. It's just really beautiful.
You guys sound so great together. It's so nice to hear you, Mon. It's a beautiful combination. It's just really lovely. I wanted to say a couple of things just real quick. I'll make them short because I talk too much. But Bill Frisell was the guitarist I was trying to think of. And I just, there's things that you do. If you have your own thing, of course, that's what I'm saying. I don't mean to compare in any way, other than that things are always fluid with you. It sounds like even if you're doing like, it feels like it's got vibrato in every note. Like there's this life to it. They're not just notes. It's really deep, man. I just love the way you play. And I wanted to say,
Bill is like my favorite. So.
Oh, geez, God, yeah, she just kills me. And the thing we're talking about, like everybody giving to the music and stuff. Cathy with an idea. In my ensemble, it's same sort of thing in that I might give an expression of here's the chart, but this is the journey of the character, whatever. And the guys allow me to do that, and then we all grab a paintbrush. So though it may be me that gets the credit of storytelling and all that, and that's great, thank you very much, but we're all telling the story together. It's not just one person. And it's not that I couldn't sit alone and tell a story, or everybody individually can tell a story, but when you do it as a group, that's the beauty of music at its utmost. It's the one art form that can be done collectively. You can't write a book with 3 or 4 or 5, 6 people. You can't really paint a picture, everybody grabbing a brush on a canvas, but you can when it comes to music. And it's when you have artists together really giving and allowing the space to happen, not being afraid of the space. And my third thing about the space is that we probably have all said in one way or another, but that space is the 13th note of the scale. That a lot of people that aren't experienced enough yet or haven't listened to be comfortable with the space, to realize like it's okay for me not to do anything right now. That's okay. It takes courage to lay out, because compositionally, you not adding is as heavy as anything that you could add. It could be heavier. It's a compositional device. It's not like you're lazy or you're non-creative because you're not doing something. It's like, no. I think I remember that first from Steve Gadd, like the choices of not to play. We all love Miles or Wayne Shorter. Like who uses space more than that? It's just so.
Yeah,
it's great. Thank you so much for letting me be part of this, because it's really lifeblood. This is as good as it gets. This is what it's all about. This is worth the cost of living. To be able well, it's true.
Which is why I love Paul Jost. Because he thinks like that, man. I want to thank you guys for hanging out. I know you're all busy, and but it was a really good idea that John Bishop, actually from Origin Records, said, why don't you have a show with the band? I was like, oh, yeah, why don't I have a show with the band? Of course. So I want to thank, first Dan Davilla, I want to thank for always being supportive in many different.
It's so incredible because when we're talking about stuff, we don't know something. Dan, boom, no, it was on YouTube, it was on Verve.
I know.
You got all the details.
Yeah. And thank you, Josh Nelson, for your beautiful playing and arranging.
This has been so fun. I've just loved someone in the comments said this is like a master class in arranging. This is just a master class for music and life, listening to you guys talk about it and then reacting, it's just been wonderful. So thank you for organizing this, Cathy. I've learned a lot.
Oh, thank you.
Cathy, me too.
Yeah, and thank you, Anthony Wilson, for your beautiful arranging and playing and
Thank you.
spirit. Thank you.
It's so beautiful to be with you, Cathy, and all the rest of you. I love you all. They're inspirational people. So, and also Lorca and Edwin. So.
And Lorca and Edwin, couldn't do it without those guys, man. I just love them. They're so, talk about beautiful spirits too, man.
Oh, could I say one last thing too, just because it was on my mind? Like, just I really like this. You know, you could look at this album. You might see it on a shelf, or you're shopping online or whatever. Social anthems that can like feel like really heavy, and I like that the way that you took social to mean all aspects of social. It's not like, hey, this is about society. It's heavy. It's about intimacy. It's about closeness. It's about individual relationships, as well as the relationship of the individual to the collective, to the larger. I think that is just one thing that makes this project so special to me, is that it's looking at kind of all these different facets of the social, and how we relate to each other. That I like that subtlety in the way that you've presented all of this work,
Thank you, Anthony. That's really, that means a lot to me. Thank you. And it just makes me feel good to hear that, because I think that is for me what I think I meant. And not that I thought about that beforehand, but looking back at what happened with all of you guys and my own input, I think that is the product that happened, and I believe in that product.
Yeah, it makes it very tender and intimate.
It reminds me very much of, I think we were talking about this the other night, Cathy, about concept albums, where in the old days you would put on a record and you would live with that record, like you would actually listen to the entire record.
Yeah.
And you might have gone for a little drive and tuned up a little bit and just experienced this record or listen. But it was a whole thing. It was like going to a movie and you remembered every part of it. And this has that vibe where it's not like listening to one song, but the entirety. It really feels like a concept album,
Yeah.
I don't get those anymore, and I guess part of it is because of the way I listen now, and I guess maybe it's so much like click and play, and like, yeah, I don't like that, Oh yeah, I'll listen to this one, I'll listen to that one. There's so much data, coming at you.
It's so true.
It's all great. There's so much great stuff out there,
It's so true. I've been listening to Apple Music, and it's I chose something like chilling jazz or something. I can't tell you, I barely know anybody on the recordings, and a lot of them, I mean, they're from all over, but Europe especially, and beautiful, beautiful playing. I actually saw one today that had Adam Levy in it, so it was like, oh, I know Adam Levy. And if you just listen to the song after song, it's good in the way that you're getting all this different kind of flavor and finding new people, but you're missing that experience, that whole album experience that people put their heart and soul into. I mean, look what Anthony's doing, 20 songs, I mean, it sounds like a 2-record deal, but you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I mean, you would want to listen to the whole thing. And like Josh, your discovery projects and stuff,
Yeah.
Oh man, I struggle with Anthony. He was right there with me helping produce one of my albums, Sky Remains.
Oh, that's great.
With the order of the tracks, and then I'm just like, man, I feel so old school, because I love, Paul, what you're saying, listening to, here's the presentation. Yes, sure, we can cherry pick, but it's still very valuable to me, and I know it's valuable to all of us on this session here, the arc of an album, and I don't want to let that thing die yet. That I'm not ready to let that go. That album order, it is very important to me.
Yeah.
How you said about Cathy leaving space, like kind of directing stuff, but not wanting to control everything, so that there was this. And I know when I did Simple Life, I was talking to Joe Locke about it. Like, I had all these different things I wanted to do, and I want to, make the perfect puzzle. I want to make the perfect fit. And there's some of that I really value. Like when I put sets together, a lot of times, I'm really thinking about the pacing, and we do something minor, and how blah 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 blah. How many solos? I'm trying to think of the audience. But Joe said, it was really great. Like, don't think too much about that, man. Just do songs that you like, and eventually something will emerge. There'll be a theme or something that'll happen. It's like, yeah, right.
It's true.
Let it breathe a little bit. I don't have to no, do this.
Totally.
That's very true.
Yeah. But it's one of those things again, like, allowing space to happen, not being afraid of the space, And what's the worst that can happen? That you have a tune that's not on the album, that's in the can for the next project? I mean, nothing's going to go to waste,
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And thanks, Paul, for your contribution to this record. It was quite quite dramatic and wonderful. Thanks for your contribution. And Mon David, thank you for your contribution.
That's so beautiful, man.
Thank you, Kat.
It was fun, it was different with Paul and Mon, because Paul lives in New Jersey and I live in LA. So Paul had to do
loud
and send it. And then I would listen, and so we were going back and forth. Mon and I were in the studio together, actually responding in the moment. So it was really a different experience, and both were beautiful. They were both special, and they both produced these beautiful, beautiful songs, beautiful expressions. So thank you, Mon, too.
Lovely album.
I love all of you. Thank you for being here.
Love you.
You
too,
are
Kathy.
you are so wonderful, and I just want to say,
are you paying us to PayPal or is it?
interestingly enough, on my archives are Thursday through Sunday. So Thursday's archive guest is Paul Jost.
Oh, yeah, that's right. When you said that, I thought we had the day wrong for today.
No, that was from March 21st, 2020.
Oh, boy.
2 years ago. Jeez.
Yeah, I don't know that I should ever be back to back, because I talk enough to, suck up enough air for like a week. You should give me like a month before you do that,
Well, everybody out there, take care. If you want to come, the archives are Thursday through Sunday. So they're always around around noon. They're always here. And then we'll go back to live on Monday through Wednesday. And if you want to see who's coming, just go on my website. However, I will tell you, Monday, Stephanie Bruce, who's a singer who I learned about through Laurie Antonioli, who's a really, really good singer. If you guys don't know her, she's good. And Stephanie Bruce is really good too. And then Tuesday is Nancy Sanchez, who's a beautiful young woman. She was a student of mine many years ago, but she's a jazz pop mariachi singer. And she's really wonderful. And then an Irish trumpet player, you guys probably know about him, Linley Hamilton.
Oh, Linley.
Linley, is that him? I didn't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, he's great. He's a great guy.
He's a trumpet player and a broadcaster, right?
Yeah, on BBC. Yeah, he's great. He's a really good guy. Really supportive.
Well, that's going to be really interesting.
And hello, he's a good friend.
Okay. So, actually, that reminded me that Matt Otto and Adam Levy wanted to say hi to you guys, Josh and Anthony. So I
Love them both.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being here. I love you all. Look forward to more projects. And thank you.
Love you, Kath.
Thanks, Kath. Thanks for putting this together.
Yeah, guys.
Great.
Good to see you. Bye, guys. You take care, okay?
Life is good.
Yes, it is.
Life's good, yeah.
Bye.